Thank you for that introduction, Sherry. I am really pleased to be presenting for the Global Women's Leadership Summit during their preview month of September 2013. And I will also be glad to be part of their speakers on October 21st of the coming month. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you wherever you are in the world listening to this broadcast. I want to welcome one of my guests that we'll hear from later in the meeting, Gemma Bulos of the Global Women's Water Initiative. Thank you, Gemma, for being here. Sherry, in your introduction, you mentioned the word fascinating, and in fact, that's what I hope that this will be, a fascinating 45 minutes filled with with facts about global issues and with the wonderful stories of various women leaders and what they're doing about those global issues. At the end of our time, you will know, if you don't already, that women are having tremendous impact around the world and that their role as women leaders is fueled by their passion and commitment for the various issues they're working on. One other item that I think you want to observe as we go through these stories and through these facts is that the importance of thinking locally, thinking globally, but acting locally. So let's see. First of all, why are we here? Why is there a gender equity gap? It's very real. It exists because around the world women have inadequate access to medical treatments, to education, to social protection, and to the benefits of their labor. It's estimated by world authorities that almost 4 million women a year die too early. There is still female infanticide. There are major deaths during childbirth and the childbearing years, and just a general selectivity that causes the global gender equity gap. The equity gap is definitely correlated with economic development. You know, the net of the current inequities are that it undermines human productivity, it undermines the welfare of society, and certainly if we can do something about it, or when we can do something about it, it will help with the development of many, many things and the growth of the human society. So I'm going to introduce you to several stories today. I'm going to start with one about Smarita Sengupta. Smarita Sengupta is a woman from Calcutta, India, whom I visited last July. Here she is. She's in these photos working tirelessly. On the left, she's a woman in the aqua dress, and she's helping to sell some of the goods that are created by her organization called Destiny Foundation. Smarita and some of the women working with her on the right create wonderful bags and goods and things out of old saris. The women that she is training and educating in the trade of sewing are ex-sex workers who have opted out of the sex trade and now need a way to create their livelihoods. Smarita goes to the villages, as you can see her in the bottom photo. She goes there in terms of recruiting some of these women, or even barely people who are more than a child, to not stay in the sex trade. Smarita is in fact the winner of the 2013 Leader of Impact Award. She is coming next week in order to receive that at our function. She will bring with her, I think, some of those wonderful bags that you see in the foreground, and her livelihood is really to create those smiles on the young women's faces on the right. I couldn't have her on the program today, so I'm going to read you some of the answers to questions I would ask her if she were here. First of all, Smarita, what is your vision? And her vision is to end child trafficking, create empowered and inspired survivors to continue the crusade against child trafficking. I asked her about why women's leadership, and she had an interesting answer. Her answer is, women are the agents of change everywhere. They are inclusive and accommodating in nature. They handle power with wisdom and sensitivity. Wisdom and sensitivity. And then, because I have so much admiration for these people and what they do, I ask her about courage. I ask her where she gets her courage. She says, "My courage comes from my passion and commitment to save one innocent life. I want to give her back the freedom which was lost or which she never knew existed. It is hard to fight against a big network of criminals, so developing the right network and strategy is important to become competent. Courage comes to me with the accomplishment of a single goal or a single failure, and then doing it all over again. I like developing inspired, self-sufficient, and independent survivors with a voice to say no." What an incredible woman leader you are, Smarita. Let's skip to Turkey. First, let me give you some background information about Turkey, since it's one of the most misunderstood countries in the world. Turkey is a major economic and political power in the Middle East. Economically, Goldman Sachs believes that Turkey will be the sixth largest economy by 2050. They are now about 15th or 16th in the world. They also are the largest secular republic in the world. They are primarily Muslim, 98% Muslim. So they have a role in being a model for many, women in the world in terms of the freedoms that they offer. However, only 23.5% of the women participate in the labor force. This is because of many social forces to keep them at home. It's because of a major migration from eastern Turkey to the cities, where women no longer have the ability to use their skills in agriculture, and many, many, many other factors. Selin Oz is the woman I'd like to talk about because she's doing something to stimulate women's economic empowerment. Selin works for the Garanti Bank and their Women's Entrepreneurship Program. They have provided millions in loans to scale businesses over the last few years. Don't you love the shoe, the high-heeled shoe on the right with the tall buildings as its foundation? These loans, by the way, have special terms for women entrepreneurs. They have a 6-month grace period. They have terms up to 7 years in terms of repayment. And there have been, I believe, somewhere around $300 million given in these scaling loans. So it's not to buy the first few goats or chickens. It's to build inventory. If you have a chandelier store, I happen to have met one of those women when I was in Turkey a number of years ago, who were funded by Gurantee. They also have held annual conferences and trainings in entrepreneurship. And Selin runs a program which recognizes the Turkish Entrepreneur Woman of the Year. In the year before she came through our leadership program, there were 108 participants, and last year there were more than 6,000. And the IFC is using Garanti as an example of what a new world order could look like, and Selin is traveling all over the world to tell people about her program. Thanks, Selin, for being the wonderful supporter for women entrepreneurs in Turkey. Now I'd like to introduce you to Gemma Bulos. While Gemma was here for the broadcast, I'm recording these slides later, so I will be paraphrasing what Gemma said when she was here. But anyway, Gemma Bulos is a woman born to Philippine parents. She actually did a big water project in the Philippines, which led to being a tech award winner. And I met Gemma when she came to pick up that award at the San Jose Tech Museum. And Gemma now works with the Global Women's Water Initiative. Yes, that headline is correct. 200 billion hours per day is what it takes for women to supply water to their families, to take the clothes and wash them in the streams, and then to transport water home. An incredible, incredible loss of productivity for women themselves, as well as you'll hear from Gemma, a lot of productivity for others. So now I'm going to start talking about what Gemma said. She said, yes, 200 billion hours per day is lost. It keeps women from many of the other chores that they have in the family. It disproportionately affects them in terms of their bodies and the wear and tear that it takes to carry the heavy jugs. It means that many of the young women cannot go to school. And the effects of not having clean water and sanitation are immense. The estimate is that 1/2 of the hospital beds in the world are filled with people who are suffering in one way or another from a water-related disease. There's an enormous amount of lost productivity for men in terms of missing work or working more slowly because of debilitation. 1 in 10 girls drop out of school by the 8th grade as they begin menstruation and do not have access to sanitary facilities. There are individual risks for women in terms of their own safety as they transport the water, as well as, of course, societal water rights disputes that are just now becoming major U.S. issues. So water and collecting water and having sanitation is what Gemma's focused on in terms of her work. Gemma is a big believer in the domino effect, right? She believes that a single drop is the beginning of a wave. And so she started the Global Women's Water Initiative, which is based on creating technicians. And part of it is what she calls WASH, Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene. That's WASH. So everything from fresh water to providing toilets and collecting rainwater and those sorts of things. She takes a very holistic approach to everything that they do. What you see here are some of the women who are making bricks that will go into a water tank. And on the right, the woman is helping to take some water up to a roof. They're creating a roof watershed that will collect water during the time of the rains. The Global Women's Water Initiative is a training program. It trains people to be technicians, to be WASH technicians with all kinds of solutions for their local community. It really trains on 3 different levels. Number 1 is expertise in various WASH techniques. The second is techniques in being an entrepreneur. How do you sell your services in order to be self-sustaining? How do you monetize the new skills that you have? And finally, it's about leadership. These 2 pictures are quite interesting. That on the left, Gemma told us, is Grandma Angelo. And one of the things she does is she makes bricks and sells them in the community to monetize her new skills. Some of the other women do things like making shampoos, etc. So it's not just about what they can do directly for WASH, but what they can do indirectly with their skills. And of course, on the right, we have a very, very happy mother and a quite astonished baby at the advent of taking pictures while mother is working. Children are often with their mothers as they work. So there's training of people for and creating of skills, as well as knowledge about being an entrepreneur and leadership. I loved it when Gemma was talking about this particular slide. So these women have created a water tank for a school. Okay, they really look very triumphant, don't they? The women in the picture are actually some of the women who are working with Catherine Wanjohi, another one of our graduates at Life Bloom Services. Life Bloom is in fact in the process of building a vocational school. These women came to the WASH training to learn that trade. The woman in the very center with the orange shirt and the trowel in hand is someone who during the training decided to leave the sex trade. So she is now a full-time trainer at Life Bloom, passing along the skills that she learned. And as Gemma pointed out, water not only transforms lives, it transforms the community, and it transforms the women in those communities in ways that she had never really anticipated. I asked Gemma, who's a very accomplished women leader, she's been recognized by Echoing Green, and she's now at the Stanford SEER program, Social Entrepreneur program. She's a graduate of Women Leaders for the World, many, many other awards. How did she get started? And the story that she gave me is rather touching. So she was in New York City on 9/11 and normally would have been taking the train going right by the World Trade Center. And when the towers were toppled, she recognized all the sadness and the grief and many things that were happening in New York, as well as the best parts, which she said was seeing people uniting together and getting behind, new initiatives and rescues and things. At the time, she was a jazz singer and a grade school teacher, and she decided that to start her own personal healing, she would write a song. The song is called We Rise, and she created that and sold all of her belongings, quit her job, and started going around the world with her guitar to raise a Million Voices choir. And it was during that time when she was singing We Rise that she discovered things about water. And interestingly enough, the theme of We Rise is all about a single drop creating wonderful waves um, of uh, wonderful waves of change around the world. So, what a story, Gemma's original story. And I have recorded her. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this, but I hope you can. I'm going to try to get her when she sang it before, and I have a little recording here. Let's see if it works. Little technical difficulty here. Hold on 1 second. Okay, let's try it again.
Oh my gosh, why am I forgetting my song all of a sudden? Yes. Okay. I'm just a little drop of water in a sea of peaceful souls, and I am humbled and amazed. We rise, we rise, we rise, we rise, we rise, we rise. When mothers, brothers, sisters rise, and fathers, daughters, sons arise, then children of the world will rise. Oh yeah. When mothers, brothers, sisters rise, fathers, daughters, sons arise. You and me, him and her, let's take it to the skies. We rise.
So I can't think of a better way to end the presentation than having heard Gemma sing We Rise. Certainly that is our belief system that together, men and women going hand in hand, women stepping into their roles as leaders in many walks of life, everything from the business world to civil society to religion, that in fact the entire universe and the world will in fact rise. I hope that many of you will join me on October 21st to hear more women's stories, to find out about their sources of their amazing results, and for you to learn how to become an even better leader in your particular community. So until then, we rise.